At the end of the road, you come to the river. I've known this place all my life, and it still feels removed from everything around it. Out here, the tides, the weather, and the wildlife all set the pace. What many visitors don't realize is that this is an island. The Pequot called it Chippachaug and spent their summers along these shores 400 years ago, fishing and clamming. The English later renamed it for Major John Mason. Today, the island sits between the Mystic River and Fisher's Island Sound. Downtown Mystic is only a few minutes away, but from here it feels much further. Most of our neighbors are wild. The same pair of ospreys returns to the backyard each spring and fishes in the shallows. At low tide, you'll often see egrets and great blue herons in the marsh. There are cormorants, ducks in the cove, and occasionally a mink along the shore. Striped bass run just off the dock. The surrounding wetlands are protected under Connecticut law, so this natural setting will remain largely as you see it. It's especially quiet in the morning. The house stands at the end of Schoolhouse Road, facing west across the Mystic River. Behind the house is an estuary teeming with wildlife that flows into Fisher Island Sound. The house blends into the surroundings and seems to be a natural part of it. My grandfather built it in 1946, and 3 generations of our family have grown up around this water. Now we make it available to guests for part of the year. A day here might begin with coffee in the sunroom that looks across the cove and the river. Noank sits directly across the river. Every so often, an Amtrak Northeast regional train passes through the view, its sound carrying over the water. Seagulls, egrets, ducks, and cormorants keep the cove active, but otherwise there isn't much to interrupt the quiet. When I have my coffee here, I rarely even think to put on music. The water is visible throughout the house. The sunroom has water on 3 sides and catches the changing light from morning through sunset. From the living room, you look across the channel towards Noank. The bedrooms wake up to a view of the estuary and osprey nest. The kitchen borrows its water view from rooms on either side, but it holds something on its own. Glass fish and sea life lit in shadow boxes along the wall. No one walks through without stopping. Also, check out the bar. I made it myself. When you're ready to go out, there's plenty nearby. In downtown Mystic, the drawbridge still stops traffic on Main Street to let boats pass. Built in 1922, it uses 2 concrete counterweights of 230 tons each. A little further along the river is the Mystic Seaport, where the Charles W. Morgan is docked, the last wooden whaling ship in the world. A few miles to the east is Stonington Borough, home to Connecticut's last commercial fishing fleet. The trawler Heritage still returns to a town dock that was built in 1830. Ender's Island is joined directly to Mason's Island by a causeway. Dr. Thomas Enders bought it in 1910 and built the stone estate that is there. His widow gave the island away in 1954, asking that it be used as a retreat and a place of spiritual training for priests. It has been exactly that ever since, a stone church and a small chapel at the water's edge. My daughter had her wedding photos taken there. These places are all easy to reach, but you may find that you're perfectly happy staying here. No restaurant can match this view. Sunsets over the water are unusual along this part of Connecticut coast because most of the shoreline faces south. Here, the Mystic River runs north to south and the house faces west. As evening approaches, everything begins to slow down. The ducks settle in for the night, and an occasional boat heads home before dark. The sunset changes from minute to minute, almost like a movie. Some of the best evenings are partly cloudy, when the clouds catch the light and fill the sky with shifting patterns and color. I've watched this view for most of my life, and it never looks quite the same twice. Life here continues at its own pace. The views and experience are incredible regardless of the season or the weather. It's a quiet place on the river surrounded by wetlands and wildlife.